Hey guys, today I'm going to be doing something a little bit different. I want to look at Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite as well as Pokken Tournament. What is it? DX Ultimate? Something, something generic sounding like that. The new Pokken on Switch. I want to talk about them, but I want to do it a little bit less. I'm going to be giving my feelings on them, but this isn't going to be a review like I normally do. I'm just going to be talking over gameplay in the background, basically. So let's get into it. Let's see how this goes. I'll start with Pokken. This game is fun. This is actually the first time I played it. I didn't get a chance to play it on Wii U. And I was kind of excited to play it on when I heard it was coming to Switch. And it is an enjoyable game. It's very simple. This is not exactly a one-to-one comparison with Tekken, which is fine. You know, I don't think it needs to be. There's two phases in combat. There's a more free-roaming phase, and then when you do enough damage or when you do a big enough hit, it'll switch to this more traditional 2D plane Tekken fighting style. And I like this system, but it feels like I wish you had more control over when it's switched. It kind of seems a little bit random. The move sets for the Pokemon are very simple. Once you get the hang of one or two or three different Pokemon, you pretty much know how to play with everyone else. I mean, everyone has a long range attack, everyone has a short range, and then a medium range attack. Everyone has a grab, and everyone has a move that gives them super armor. This makes it pretty. I don't know. When I was playing it, I was just getting a sense of just very little variation between characters. They are different types, you know, and they do have different moves, but it's just not. It doesn't feel quite as dynamic switching between characters as it would in a more traditional fighting game. Even just comparing it to Tekken, it feels like there's less variation. And the reason for this is, of course, just to make it more accessible, more easy for the general audience to understand, which is totally fine. I'm not necessarily taking a dig at it for that reason, but I think because of that, because when you do learn one character, you pretty much have also learned every other character. That lack of depth is why I'm probably not going to be coming back to this game too much. It's probably going to be more something that I bring out when I want to play with people who don't normally play fighting games, because it is so easy to understand, and because even if you don't know how to play, you can totally just button mash and do just fine. The graphics are not that great. I was pretty disappointed actually with how it looks, just compared to other Switch games. Obviously it's not going to look as good as a console game, but it's not. There's a lot of pixelation and just 2D textures. The backgrounds are very blurry, and what the Pokemon and the people are doing in the backgrounds is super simplistic. I mean, they don't even really have animations a lot of the time. Sometimes it's just them bouncing up and down in a still position. It's very simple, and it kind of just doesn't help bringing life into it. I think this is weird because it's a fighting game, so you're in this isolated space, and even just comparing it to other games that are more open, like Zelda or even Mario plus Rabbids, I feel like they could have pushed the Switch a little bit more as far as the graphics go. I think it's a little underwhelming, even compared to Mario Kart 8, which of course was originally on the Wii U, right? So that's even a better direct comparison. And because it's a fighting game, I would think they would be able to squeeze out just a bit more. So that's a little disappointing. The modes, there's a good amount of modes. There's not really a story mode. There's a mode where you're kind of just climbing through the ranks. I was a little disappointed by that. I was hoping for something kind of like, I don't know if anyone played this. There's a Mario Tennis game. I don't know why this is the direct thing that I jumped to either. There's a Mario Tennis game on the Game Boy Advance, and you don't need a story for a tennis game. But that game had a story, and it was actually very fun. And it's similar in that you're climbing through the ranks of the tennis league, but there's little story bits in between each match that gives you incentive to want to keep going. In this, all you have is your coach or your announcer talking to you the whole time, and she gets very annoying. She gets very annoying very quickly, and I'm very happy that you can turn her off. I don't know if it's the direction that they told the voice actress to go, or if it's just the voice actress herself. Nothing against her personally, but I did not like her at all. She comes across very robotic and monotone. So I disabled her as quick as I could. So the main story mode, if you can call it that, isn't very good. I played one set and then I was like, alright, I'm done. There's a daily bonus challenge that you can do, which is kind of cool. Gives you a little bit of incentive to go back every day and get some more points or money, which you can spend on, you know, different cosmetic items for your character. Which, honestly, as far as incentives go, that's not a great incentive. It's not actually for your Pokemon; it's for your trainer, who you see for maybe a half second before the match, and then he's gone. So, not the best incentive. I would have preferred, you know, maybe not costumes, but colors at least for the Pokemon. That would have been a little bit better. As you go through the game, you can actually level up your Pokemon, which is kind of an interesting system for a fighter. And then you choose whether you want to give them experience in strength, defense, their ultimate meter, or their assist meter, which is interesting. It's definitely an interesting mechanic. I don't love it just because I kind of like everyone to be on as even of a playing field as possible, so that you're assigning different stat boosts to your character. I'm not a huge fan of that. And of course there's a versus mode, there's an online mode. The online mode is what I was spending the most time on. This game overall though, it's fine. It's a fine game, it's fun to play with friends. It's not something I'm going to be going back to playing daily. Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, on the other hand, is something that I have poured quite a bit of time into. This game, they have nailed the mechanics of this game. It feels like a true improvement over the mechanics from the third game. It feels different. It doesn't just feel like they've copied and pasted from the last game, which I really appreciate. The combo system, it really encourages you to swap in and out of your assists mid-combo, which is really cool. So you can get really large combos chained together just by switching between characters really quickly. Instead of bringing your assist characters out for one attack like the previous game, now you're actually bringing them in and taking control over them completely mid-combo. I really like this system. Instead of doing 3 characters, they've done 2 characters plus an Infinity Stone. Probably, if I'm going to be honest, I've only used the Power Stone the most. But honestly, I don't see a whole lot of variation online either. I see people either using the Power Stone. Sometimes I'll see the Space Stone. Sometimes I'll see the Time Stone. And then I'll see the Reality Stone as well. So 4 stones that people use. I almost never see the other ones, and honestly even the Space Stone I rarely see. There's not a whole lot of great balancing there. It does add an interesting element to the gameplay though, and I do appreciate it for that. This is what is replacing, I guess, your third character, but it's really replacing your X meter more so, in my opinion. It adds an interesting variation to the combat, which I appreciate. The moves haven't been altered that much between the existing characters. They've done, you know, for instance, with Dante, they've combined his ice abilities all into one move. There's kind of stuff like that between characters. For the most part, though, if you played the third game, you'll probably be able to do the same combos that you did in the third game here. That's fine. You're not expected to get a whole lot of variation between characters from past games. The problem comes in when you look at this roster and you realize of the 30 characters, 24 of them aren't just from previous Marvel vs. Capcom games. They're from the third game. We get 24 characters from Marvel vs. Capcom, Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. That is insane to me. This does not feel like, for that reason, right? Mechanically, this game feels like a true sequel. Roster-wise, it doesn't. Not at all. It feels like a 3.5 in that sense, which is unfortunate because of how good the mechanics feel. The new characters are good. I enjoy them. Captain Marvel, Gamora, I think they're really cool additions. I think Mega Man X, of course, he's a great addition. I use him all the time. But because of the rest of the characters, you know, if they had brought back characters from previous Mortal Kombat, from previous Marvel vs. Capcom games, I'd be way more lenient. You know, there's a lot of characters from Marvel vs. Capcom 2 especially that they could have brought back. I would have loved to have seen Cable again, for instance, or Cyclops. Of course, that brings me to my next problem, which is no X-Men. Now, this is so freaking stupid because it's all politics. It's 100% because of the movie rights issue between Fox and Marvel why the X-Men characters aren't in this game. Spider-Man is, of course, because they did a deal with Sony, so that's why he's in the game, but no X-Men, and that is super, super dumb. And I hate it, and I know most people hate it. I'm sure you've heard other people complain about it. There's probably no sense me driving into the ground anymore, but oh man, that on top of the already existing roster of just previous characters that are from 3, we not only that, but we also don't get the X-Men characters that we love. It just feels like a huge knock against the fans when this series started out as Street Fighter versus X-Men. As far as modes go, there is a story mode this time, which is cool. That's something people wanted after the 3rd game. Story is bare bones. It's super basic. You're thrown into the conflict. I think it's like 88 days after. It says 88 days after the convergence event has already happened, and it's like, whoa. What about the 87 days that came before this? You know, we never really get insight into what happened before, and that's really weird. I thought what it was going to do was, I thought we were going to have this opening scene set 88 days after, and then I thought it was going to flash back to when this all started, but nope, we're just kind of supposed to infer what happened, which I guess that's an easy way for the writers not to have to explain how these universes are colliding, but little lame. The story, but honestly, that being said, this story is so basic. There's a lot of just really lame dialogue. Every now and then there will be a cool encounter and you'll be like, alright, this is actually kind of cool to see these two characters together on the same screen. But the actual story and the actual dialogue is very, very lame. It's very poorly written. It almost feels like fanfic at certain times. That's how bad it can be. But the action in the game that is not done by you, the actual CG action you see, that's pretty cool. I think it's worth playing alone for that, honestly. But obviously the main draw of this game, the main reason that you're going to be playing it, is versus mode or online mode. The online is really good so far. I haven't had too many issues with it. I've spent 8 hours on it so far, which I couldn't believe I had spent that much when I looked at it. I've been using Dante and X most of the time. I really enjoy those two characters. These character models, holy crap, these character models look terrible. Some of the character models are better than others, you know, just to be fair, but you know, the ones that are bad, they're really bad. And it's weird because it's not even stylistically put together. You look at 3, right? That game was made to look like a comic book come to life. And it had a really nice style to it. I really liked it. This game doesn't have a clear style guide to it. And so it comes off as just an amalgamation of different styles coming together, and not in a good way. Some characters, actually a lot of characters, have a real big problem with their heads being too small and their torsos being huge. It's very strange looking. You gotta wonder, why wasn't more time to put into this game as far as the roster, as far as how the character models look, as far as just developing the story? And the only thing that I can think of is that they must have been put on a harsh time schedule. So they must have put most of their time towards the fighting system, which totally shows. I really like it. And then everything else must have just been rushed. That's the only thing that I can come up with, and it's very unfortunate because it is an otherwise phenomenal game, just with all these things holding it back, and it's very unfortunate. But that being said, the fighting itself is so good that I will definitely be coming back to it, as opposed to Pokken, which I might just poke in every. I must. Gosh. Ooh, that was an accident. I might just poke in every now and then just to check out, just to play it for fun with friends and all that. But, you know, Marvel vs. Capcom is one that I will be playing on my own time to develop new combos, to try out different characters that I don't play as normally. It's interesting that these two games came out right now because I think they serve completely different audiences. Pokken is as casual of a fighting game that you can play, which makes it great for playing with friends, great at parties. Marvel vs. Capcom, on the exact opposite end of the spectrum, is as deep of a fighting game as you can find. And for that reason, I think Marvel vs. Capcom will probably have more legs to it. But, you know, they serve totally different audiences, and that's fine. I enjoy them both for different reasons. I think I'll probably be playing Marvel vs. Capcom a bit more in the future over Pokken. And yeah, I guess that's all I gotta say. I'll see you guys next time.